Hello, YouTube! Welcome to another episode of Factorio. My name is Tanis Fugit. Welcome to the Fugitive Theater. And we're picking up more or less where we left off. I did one real major thing in between episodes, and that is I ran up here and over here, and I cleared these sort of nests that were like most immediately concerning us. I figured since I showed many times so far the process of clearing mods with this sort of game setup that we've got, of clearing bases and nests with the current setup that we have here and just how easy it is, I figured I didn't really need to show that. So I went off screen and I took care of that. The other thing I did was I really took a good look at sort of how my, setup had ended up taking shape here and figuring out exactly what happened with the power last episode. And it confirmed to me really that what it was is that without really realizing it, this, which I had, when I had first built this thing, I had set up 3 distinct sort of regions of sort of supply here, right? This bottom set was designed to handle all of my iron production. And my understanding was that iron was going to be a lot of things. I was going to, produce a ton of iron, so I needed a ton of coal. So I put most of the coal production down here. Then up here was copper, and I'm like, well, I know in the later game copper becomes a big problem, but in the early game it's not, and by the time it becomes a problem I'll probably be able to ship in more coal from other places. So that was a relatively small one. And then in here this was just supposed to be sort of it was supposed to be the whatever, right? Like miscellaneous things, right? Power systems are going to need this, maybe a little bit of steel production, but I knew I wasn't really going to need to make that much steel. So but then I started, without realizing it, sort of one item at a time, sort of breaking this off more and more and feeding more and more things, right? Like first it was to make a little bit more steel down here for the rail, and then it was to send it over to make grenades, and then it was to send it over to, do all kinds of other stuff. So one item at a time, I started increasing the sort of ask on this single line here, which was only being serviced by 8 of these miners. And oh my god, I just picked up a miner. No, I didn't. I picked up a... There it is. I picked up a belt. Yeah, I just, without realizing it, I just continued to overload this single belt that was only being fed by 8 miners, and that was just never going to work out. And I just never realized it because I never came all the way back here to sort of look at which lines had how much support to it. So now what I've done, this is the patch job I did last episode where I broke some off of these guys here, this sort of back line here. These guys are 100% on this, on the iron line, but these guys are set to send some over here if this isn't full, right? So they're going to send some things over here to support this. They're going to send some stuff up here that's going to support this. Some of this stuff is, because this split was sort of already there. Yeah, this split was already there because we've already had some sending this way, and we had some sending up here to join this, which is going to go to our, this is a train that's sending coal out to the, to the plastic production, right? So, it is what it is. We just added a little bit of offshoot into this line, and it seems to be sufficient. I mean, obviously right now I'm not doing any science, so a lot of the stuff that would be producing this stuff is not right now, or that would be spending this stuff is not right now. So we'll have to turn some science back on. In the meantime, so let's talk about science. Off screen, rocketry finished. So we take a look at rocketry here. We see that gives me a rocket launcher and rocket ammo, so I can like run around with a handheld rocket launcher blasting nests instead of running around with just regular turrets, which who knows, I might do at some point. That sounds fun as hell. Excuse me, I'm like clearing my throat a lot today. It's a start of a new recording day, and my throat just isn't quite where I want it to be right now. Give me just a minute. I'm actually gonna like pause for a second. All right, apologies for that. I took a big swig of water, cleared my throat a bit. Hopefully I should be better going forward. All right. So the next thing I did just to have something going was I turned on braking force 1. So trains will actually brake harder, which means that they can stay at higher speeds longer, right? Which just increases the efficiency, increases the throughput of the trains. So the next thing I want to do is, oh, and also I made a set of modular armor for myself. So now I could make some of these like armor pieces if I really wanted to. And give myself, see, this belt immunity equipment is interesting, but I oftentimes find that when I'm running, I can either like just be off of a belt so as that it doesn't move me, so as it's not pushing me in the wrong direction, or I can walk on the belts if it's pushing me in the right direction. So I don't know. I don't really want this belt immunity equipment. So I don't think I even really want that at all. Night vision, I think, is fun, and I might get that. Obviously, you need a battery to power a lot of this stuff, and so I would basically make like I'd make a portable solar panel, slot that in, a few of those into the machine, a personal battery to slot in to store the power, and then night vision so that I can use that at night, right? And then I also have energy shield, which I can use, and there's an advanced energy shield. All this is quite cool, and I might want to do any or all of that at some point. But I think for now, we want to start moving towards, I think, the next step in some things. So what is the next step? Well, if we look at really the actual literal next step is to move into sort of purple and yellow science packs, right? Those are the last two science packs, and they are what I need to unlock the sort of super late game stuff, which includes, let's see if I can find it, all the stuff needed to like launch a rocket. Yeah, this stuff, like rocket silo and stuff. Oh, there is technically white science packs as well, which I believe are only needed for like infinite stuff. So after your game is finished, the game doesn't technically end once you launch the rocket. I mean, that is the objective of the game, but the game goes infinitely, right? You can continue to expand your base, make it as big as possible, infinitely scale, almost infinitely scale it outward, and that's what the white science is for, right? And you've got to launch a satellite in order to do it. Basically, white science, you don't actually make this science pack on its own, I believe. Or it does, but it's okay, but it's created from the rocket launching a satellite. So like that's, yeah, so. Anyway, point being that this is sort of the last thing that we need. And my knowledge of the actual end game is a little bit shifty because I've never really gotten there. So I'm only like, I only think I know certain things. Anyway, purple and yellow science packs are the next sort of major step here. And as you can see, just looking at the tree, you can see that for yellow, we're quite a bit off. We're actually missing quite a number of things here. We need this whole line of stuff: low density structures, advanced oil processing, advanced electronics 2, which gives access to the blue circuits, which are even higher level than the red circuits that we're currently producing. Then we got to go down into lubricants, electric engines, robotics, before we can make it down to the utility science pack. For purple, though, we actually have almost everything that we need. We need modules, which led into English is hard. Productivity modules, and as you can see, productivity modules are one of the things needed for this. The other things needed are electric furnaces and rails. We can obviously make rails. We're making tons of them already. We can make productivity modules. The only thing we need now is an electric furnace. So that's advanced material processing 2, which you see it opens up the electric furnace. So the electric furnace works just like the other furnaces that we're currently running right now, which are smelting our iron, our copper. They're smelting our iron into steel, right? Except these run on electricity instead of running on coal. So these are quite nice, and I don't know if I'm ready to use them quite yet because obviously electricity is a big sort of sticky issue for me right now. It's a bit of a sticky wicket for me right now, if you will. But I think that's what I'm going to start researching next. That way we can at least start moving towards production science, okay? All right, so with that out of the way, with that starting to be produced, what is our current next step? Well, there are two things I want to do right now. The first one is fully claim this iron and this coal, right? Fully claim them, get all the miners on them, and get them on the rail system so that they are connected and get trains rolling to them and get stations on them and get it all signaled up correctly and all that good stuff, right? I want that for both of these. The second thing I want to do is start actually claiming a bunch of land for our solar panels. So I think what I'm going to do first is get these two things on our on our network. That I think is what we're gonna do first. We're gonna get these two guys on the network, and the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna start by finding a good spot to break off. Again, checking the eyes open and watching the rail to make sure I'm not about to get run over as I cross it. Finding a good spot for this. Now it looks like this spot right here goes straight up to it. So this is where I kind of want the rails to be. So I think I want like one set of rail here. And one like... That's my standard distance? Is that my standard distance? Oh well, it's fine. If it's not exact standard distance, it's fine. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 3 seems like it should be correct. This only has 2 between it, but I think 3 should be the standard. All right, and now what you'll notice is that I don't have any grenades. So this is where it's going to go. It's going to run from here. This is going to be a nice 3-way intersection, just like all my other intersections so far have been. Almost all my intersections have been. And it's going to run straight up here, and I'm going to have to clear this nest and probably this nest. But there's going to, this is going to run straight up. There's going to be a big, like, station right here with there's possibly going to be, like, a stacker here, and then the actual station, and then that'll all run back together, and it'll be all part of the same network. Okay, so that's the goal. First step for me, I'm going to go grab a bunch of grenades off of the line. I'm going to blow away all these trees, and then I'm going to set up on that coal mine. All right? All right, I'll see you guys on the other side of that. All right, welcome back. So what have we done here so far? I connected up this area. It's got a nice 3-way intersection down here. I created a basic stacker system. So if the first time a train shows up, it will it doesn't matter which one of these is passed through. All these are always going to be green. So it'll pass through one of these. It'll pass through the chain signal correctly, and then it'll pass into here. The chain signal is because this area, this actual like area here, this cannot be blocked, right? So the chain signal won't let it into here unless it can also get out of here, all right? I think that's the correct way to do it. The idea is the chain signal won't let it into here unless it can also get out of here. So this has to be clear, and so does the way back out, which, I don't know, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, I don't think that's correct. Let me create a couple of these. I'm talking it out loud. I don't think that that's necessarily correct. Let me think for a second here. I want it to be able to go into here, but only once. Actually, I think this needs to be a regular... Yeah, I think all these are just supposed to be regular rail signals. Hold on. Because if it can move into here, it should. And from these ones, yeah, I can move into here and wait. None of these need to be chain signals. I don't know why any of these were chain signals. Chain signals are important when in like intersections where you want the train to not only move into the intersection, but it has to move out of the intersection right then. And here we can actually wait. Because we have the stacker system, everything can just wait, right? The worst that'll happen is that we'll get a train stuck here. If we have like a train in the station, which can't leave, we have 3 trains in the stacker and there's a train here. Like at that point, we're in like big trouble. Like, and obviously I don't even have that many trains running right now. So like, yeah, this I don't think will be a problem. Because this only matters like if I ever get to the point where I'm actually using multiple trains. Right now, with me only running one train in a system, me actually making a stacker is kind of just hilarious. I'm just doing it for like practice. But anyway, I believe this is correct. So here's the idea. The first time, but if another train tries to arrive at the station while there's a train already here, all of these will read as green. So it'll probably go to like this one and come over. It'll pass through all of these, green, green, green. It'll pass through all of these, and then it'll go this way. It'll reach here where it's going to say red, and it'll stop, right? At that point, this guy will be red. The next one that comes in will see green, green, but he knows that this one's going to be red, so instead he's going to go to this one. Right? He's going to go over, and he's going to go to this one. And then he'll wait here. And then that will continue. I believe that is how the logic is going to, it will and should bang out, okay? With that being said, the next step obviously is going to be for me to take, this is a very dense patch. Like, this is incredibly dense. There's a lot of coal here. So my next step is going to be for me to take a bunch of miners. I'm going to have to probably build a bunch of these. I'm even going to build a bunch of them in my hand, like right now. I'm going to start this going. And load them up and down here. I'm going to try and make as many runs as possible and belt them to a set of chests that are right here, which are going to be filled with like a lot of stack inserters. They're going to be loaded with stack inserters. They're going to load this cargo wagon with stack inserters, and that's going to be our train stop. We're going to pick up as much coal as we can. I'll divert a small segment over to here to fill up our locomotive, and everything will be good. In the meantime, advanced materials processing 2 finished. We could start making our furnaces if we want. Instead, what we're going to do is you'd think I want to start on production series, production science, but we actually have a few things I want to do before I start moving into the next science. So we're going to hold off on that for the time being. Instead, I'm going to start back clearing some of the stuff that I kind of actually want. We're going to start with personal battery, which will probably finish up really quickly, and then we'll clear out a couple of these while I'm doing this stuff. So another time lapse coming. See you guys in a bit. As soon as I said that, something started to get attacked, and I don't seem to have guns in the right place. I don't know how this is possible. I don't know how this is actually happening like this. But I'm running as fast as I can to get down there. I don't have a vehicle or anything like that. This sucks so hard. I don't know how much I'm going to lose. A lot of just basic logistic stuff right now has been lost. I'm moving as fast as I can to get down there. I don't know how they got around all the guns. Where are these guys? Like, they're launching these attacks from the weirdest spot. Electricity is being hit. Thankfully, that's a very dense area with a lot of just, like, basic logistic stuff for them to try and chew through. Oh, God, don't get caught up on stuff. How did it miss? Because it didn't come from the right, because I killed all the guys from the right. How did it come up in such an angle that it missed the, like, emplacement that I put there? Man, this doesn't make any sense. It's just one thing. Just one biter. One single biter on its own, lonesome. How is that possible? That's so insanely frustrating. What was I actually doing here? What is this setup supposed to look like? Ugh, now I need to like rethink what I was actually doing with this. Something's very much broken because now I've got a mixed line. So this was going to that. These were... There had to be some kind of underground belt of some kind, right? What was the... Oh my god, what was the process here? Why were there a bunch over here? This is what I'm not confused. This is what I'm confused on. All right, so there's the back end of like an underground. Oh man, they broke another single underground. I hate when this happens. I think I see what's happened here, and it's so frustrating. I need What am I'm missing just raw iron. All right, I think I do understand what's happened here. Kind of. All right, this is the splitter that got broke. This is the pipe that got broke. I'm missing a splitter and an underground. I hate that I'm missing half of an underground. That's so frustrating. I'm missing a single power pole somewhere. Probably right there. Connect all that together. So here's the splitter that got broke. I'm gonna feed it over there. This goes straight this way, I think, because yeah, it's got to feed into there. And then this was like undergrounding to here? Or another underground? Is that what it was all about? That's such a weird, if that's right, that's weird. We'll make another underground. All right, well, we're kind of, we're recovered. I need to put a couple of guns up here for sure. I have no idea how that happened. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. We're just gonna stick a few random guns with like a couple of walls. Double up the front of the walls. That's just gonna have to be good enough. I'm just so confused. Okay. Well, it seems to have cleared it up. Thankfully, they didn't destroy the box that had the solar panels in it. If I lost 200 solar panels there, I would have been insanely salty. All right, anyway, personal battery finished, so we're going to move on to night vision goggles, and I'm going to go do what I said I was going to do. All right, see you guys in a bit. All right, welcome back. So, at this point, I have mostly finished the project. I've got all of the miners down. They're all working. They're all producing the coal, which is running down the line here. I've combined some of the smaller lines on the very end that are only like catching the edges of the field here. I'm combining them together with their neighbors to make combined lines. So each one of these 4 lines should be pretty well filled. I've broken off a bit of this line here, which actually contains like a big, huge chunk of the area, and I've run it into a single line, which is just going to come down here to fill the locomotive. Right? Just to make sure that there's always coal in this locomotive because it needs coal just to operate. And now I'm stuck with a very decision I have to make, which is whether or not I want to balance this. So a load balancer is an important concept in these sort of belts, and it's something we haven't really done too much of aside from just basic splitters, right? A load balancer is a collection of splitters and belts that are designed to make it so is that like inputs are evenly spread out amongst a set of outputs. For instance, if I were to just run these 4 belts straight down to these inserters, which would put them straight into these boxes, which puts them straight into the cargo wagon. If, for instance, this belt starts to run short, right? This selection here starts to run short. So this belt, this one on the far right, starts to run short. That means that if I just run them straight down, that means that this box will fill up fast, this box will fill up fast, this box will fill up fast, and then this one will lag behind. Which means that when the stack inserters start throwing them in to the cargo wagon, these ones will keep going at full speed, this one will keep going at full speed, this one will keep going at full speed, and this one will like load a bunch and then stop. And now I'm only loading 3 boxes at a time. A load balancer will put a bunch of splitters and route a bunch of belts such a way that some from this line, some from this line, and some from this line will actually go into this 4th line, making it so is that we're loading all 4 evenly and we're loading all 4 of them out into the cargo wagon evenly. This increases throughput and stops things like bottlenecking and stuff like that. We haven't really touched on too much of that at all so far. So the question is whether or not I think it's necessary at all. And I think for this instance, I think the answer is no. I don't think it's inherently necessary for this kind of situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this wire up here to get these guys on the network. That'll work. I need a fast inserter here. Oh, I went one too far, I think. No, maybe I didn't. There we go. Okay. Perfect. And all these are on the network. So I think in this case, I'm just going to run them straight down. I don't think this is going to require any sort of special load balancing. There we go. Now the stack inserters are just going to load them in there. And in fact, oh, actually, next stack inserter capacity requires purple science anyway, so we're not actually going to do that. What is this? Distribution needs a sub. Oh, this I think is actually needed. Hold on, I don't think I did this. I think I missed one. Substation. We will get a substation because I think the substation is how you transmit. Is how we're going to transmit a lot of information back and forth from the actual plots of solar panels. So solar panels I think might be the next step because how did these affect our satisfaction is still way up. So I do see that there's a thing that spawned real close to here and one that's up here not too far away. I think just for safety I'm going to plop down a few guns and put some walls around them just to cover up like this corner. Of the setup here. And do something like that. There we go. Now, for some reason, it just keeps... I'm going to put like 15 into each one of these. Put like just like 10 in my own gun. There we go. Good enough. Something like that. Just in case these guys decide to throw a tantrum and attack. Okay. So right now I don't actually have a place for all of this coal to go, but at least we're kind of set up. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to put an end to this episode here. I've got the coal mine on the grid and everything is taken care of. I took out a couple of bases, shored up a couple of defensive spots, and yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot to end it on. With the coal on the grid, at least we can start delivering that wherever we need it at any time now. Right now it's not going to do much, but, you know, eventually. And then I think the next thing, of course, is the iron ore. And with the iron, again, I have the same problem that I was having before, which is do I smelt the ore on site? Or do I like create a nearby site and smelt the ore right here and put it on the network? And I think the answer to that is going to be Yes, I think I want to smelt it on site because that'll give me like a place to dump off the coal. Also, a place to dump off the coal is not a bad idea. Dumping off coal in here, I don't know, because right now I do have one train that doesn't have any coal going to it, which means I have at least one train that's gonna like die on the track somewhere at some point. So I gotta try and figure out how to get coal to that guy. So I'm not really sure about that yet, but we're gonna figure that out as well, I think. In the next, possibly in the next episode. But yeah, next episode, claim this iron ore, create a massive iron, like smelting operation down here, and pump the results of that iron smelting operation back into the system, right? And then have that all ready to go on a moment's notice. After that, the next step after that is solar power. Retrofit all of our stuff with solar power, and then finally we move on to the next science. So that's what we're doing in that order, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching. My name is Montanus Fugit. Thank you for stopping by the Fugitive Theater. And if you did like the video, you like what I'm doing here, like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, all that YouTube stuff that you know by now I don't like saying, but it does help. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.